you need something new to listen, out of all the other shit, Bass Tapes has what you need, and it goes like this. Every other Friday morning, you get a little treat, something not too long and feels more complete. Bass Tapes, Bass Tapes, Bass Tapes. Please listen to our Bass Tapes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bass Tapes episode. I don't even know what episode this is. We've done so many of these so far, and we are here with a special guest, someone deep in the Runescape creative community, the thumbnail guy, the blender master, the editor extraordinaire, TheSkulled. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be on. Well, that was like a real cheesy, response like you'd expect of a Saturday night show. Pleasure to be here.
Oh yeah, pleasure to be here. You nervous at all? Like, I always get nervous before I do these.
Oh, a little bit. It's not like something that I'm overly used to, but I'll do my best.
Yeah, because we're more of like back end guys, right? We're never usually like out in the spotlight, or we had the mics in our face or the camera in front of us. We're usually just sitting in front of a screen.
Yeah, 100%. Like I sometimes I meet like people about, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I do some stuff with YouTube." And they'll go like, "Oh, what kind of stuff?" I go, "Oh, do you play RuneScape by any chance?" And they go, yeah. I'm like, "Oh, I do stuff there." They go, "Oh, what's your channel?" I say, "Don't worry about my channel. You've seen my stuff."
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I wanted to, have you been on any other like RuneScape podcasts before this? Have you been on the Sebe Cast or Gothix Rest? Have you been on any of those?
No, I have been on one before. Actually, two before. A gentleman called Shifty invited me to do a talk with him. He does like a Shifty Talks task. And there was also one with Mick Homie.
Oh, Mick Homie had you on. Was it the homie Power Hour?
I might have had a different name at the time, but it was something along the lines of that. I know it was Mick Homie. And that was awesome being with Mick Homie. He's great.
Yeah, and him and Lopsy had a really awesome podcast before, they went away. Well, it blows me away that like someone like Sater hasn't gotten you on their radar to do a cast, because regardless of whether people are aware or not, you are heavily involved in like a lot of high-end videos, whether it's just Blender animations or the thumbnails. You're the main thumbnail guy for Behe, the community channel, and anyone that needs a Blender animation usually goes to you. It's you, and then there's a couple other Blender artists sprinkled out there in the community. And my first question I want to ask you is, how did you do it?
Like, how did I get to where I am?
Yeah, like how did you? Because you're super seeded into the community, I'd say. Like if the community was a garden, you take up a lot of the patch. I mean, your thumbnails are everywhere. I've seen countless Blender animations from you that are just absolutely beautiful. From Prison Joe all the way to Coxie. Did it start off small, or did you have some connections? Or what? How did you get started?
It was very, very slowly. I didn't even realize that it was a thing that I didn't even realize it was a job at this point when I first started. So I was just kind of like messing around with Blender and 3D software, and that's another story in itself. And I posted a few things on Reddit, and I made a tutorial on YouTube because I think people might want to get into this. And after like a little bit, I got my first message.
Mm-hmm.
Or clients like, "Hey, could you make a thumbnail for me?" And I was like, "Sure thing, dude. Like, that sounds fun. This will be awesome. Like, this is the first guy that ever reached out to me." And I did. Oh God, it was a terrible thumbnail. And I charged $5 for it.
$5.
I remember $5.
That's a good price.
And that's not $5 US. That's $5 Australian. So I charged like $3.50 for it. I had no idea what I was doing when I started. But then from there, like I started to slowly get better. And, I've never reached out to anyone or anything like that. I've always just let my work speak for itself. And as I worked with more and more people, someone said, "Hey, who made that for you?" And then that person will say to another person, "Oh, it's TheSkulled. You should get him to make your stuff. He's cool." And then I just grew out from there.
Interesting. Now, what was your background in terms of like animation or graphic design wise? Like, were you involved in, like, did you go to school for this or?
No, I didn't really go to school for it. So was animating at the age of 10, and that was doing like 2D hand-drawn animation.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that till I was about 15, and then I was too edgy and old for it and said, I'll never do it again. This is way too time consuming. So then I put animation down. I put it down for like years. I never touched it again. I also did a lot of 3D work as well when, Oblivion first came out, because it's only just come out again for the second time. I was like spending a lot of time modding that and, just being a kid mucking around. I'd make little swords and stuff. But that was my background in 3D. Prior to that, there was nothing really. And in regards to animation, it was just mainly 2D stuff I did when I was a kid. Then I've always spent time doing photography and filmmaking and stuff like that. Like, it's just always been a hobby of mine that I've enjoyed. And that kind of bleeds a lot into my knowledge of like how to frame and compose certain things. And then I saw Berserk 2016, the anime, and I went, holy hell, this thing sucks, but surely I could make that.
Hey, man.
And that's how I got back into 3D.
Hey, man. we needed something, man. We needed something.
I love it.
We needed.
I actually really like the anime. I thought it was good, but I thought, surely if they can make this in 3D, surely I can aspire to this level. Like, I have the knowledge of animation. I have a little bit of knowledge of 3D. Surely I can make something of this level and this caliber.
No, dude, they've been shitting on Kintaro's work ever since he was drawing it, And then I'm not gonna lie, the '90s anime for Berserk was actually, I thought it was charming. I thought it was really good. And then the Egg of the King movies, the trilogy came out, and even the 2D animation in that was really good. It's just, it was just that weird trend in anime right now where they use 3D cell shading or whatever that style is, and it's cheaper than hand-drawn animations, which you have a horde of 100 people slaving away for 12 hours a day to make sure this thing gets out on time.
The thing that annoys me of like cell-drawn animation, 3D cell stuff that you see in some anime, is like 3D anime can look incredible. The only thing is, and the only way that you can do it and 100% fool people 100% of the time, is you have to follow the same rules of animation, where like you hold on frames and you make sure you reduce the amount of drawings and stuff like that. And the moment you throw those out the window, no one's buying it.
I'm trying to think of a recent anime that's come to mind that's used it well. I don't even think I can think of one. We've had some banger animes come out from like Jujutsu Kaisen, even up to I'd say the Cyberpunk.
Jujutsu Kaisen's an excellent example.
Yeah.
They use so much like 3D stuff in there and hand-drawn stuff, and it's really good. The best one I've seen recently, where I was like jaw to the floor, I was like, oh my god, how on earth did they achieve this? Like, this is in Unreal animation with what they've done. Is you remember how they made the Shadow the Hedgehog Generations game leading up to the movie?
Yeah, I did. It wasn't that like a collection of all the different Sonics games?
Yeah. So like leading up to the release, they did these animated films, like little short animated films that they put on YouTube. And the animation in them was like jaw-dropping, and it was 3D. Majority of it was 3D, but it just looked so good. I remember I watched this like 20-minute long video of like this really good 3D animator breaking it down. He's going, the work here is unreal. Like, they'd seamlessly cut between 2D and 3D in the same shot because they needed the hair to look a particular way at this angle, and then they could substitute it for 3D hair at another angle.
Okay. It was good though, right? It looked good.
Oh, it was incredible. Yeah, it's Sonic, so it's not like the coolest thing in the world, but like it's so good.
Yeah, but
so well made.
Yeah, someone as an animator, you can appreciate it though. Like, even if you're not like tied into the IP that it is, right?
100%. As an animator, it's just unreal.
Gotcha. Okay, Before we're pissing everybody off with the weeaboo talk, probably. Well, not everybody. We're definitely pissing some people off though. A majority of people have clicked out once they heard anime talk. So going back to your early days of animation, what did you watch growing up? In terms of like what was on TV or available to you on the internet? Did you have any animators that you looked up to and copied their style at all back when you did 2D drawing?
Oh yeah, when I was doing 2D drawing, I was doing stick figure animation. That was like my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was like the main thing I did. And there was this animator, and he's still around, and he's so good. And he's called Hayun, and he did excellent stick figure animations. Particularly, like, I don't know, they were like a relic of like the early YouTube days. I don't know if you remember, but like people would just make stick figure animations all the time.
Yeah, and they would post it either on like YouTube or Newgrounds or eBomb's World. I mean, the Flash games that were just in stick figures alone, along with like all the Flash animations, were awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I'd spend a lot of time there, and I was also spending a lot of time on forums as well. There was like, it feels like such a relic of old internet, but they were just like forums, which are pretty much the equivalent of Discord servers now, where people would just share like, this is the animation I'm making, this is some tutorials, these are quick tips that you can use. And I'd be lurking around there a lot and posting pretty actively in there and trying to improve as much as I could.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing of growing up on the internet in terms of like finding entertainment, was logging on to Newgrounds or eBomb's World and seeing what the active members were posting. And then like when YouTube started becoming a little more popular, obviously all the artists or animators or video makers started like moving their work over there. Well, what they could, because like Newgrounds, had a rating system, but you could post some pretty fucked up shit on Newgrounds, and people took that liberty for sure.
Yeah. But the thing is with YouTube, though, is it's really punishing for animators. And I think it's actually really sad. I actually get the question a bit like, oh, why don't you post all your animations to YouTube or stuff like that? It's like, for the amount of time that goes into making an animation, you wind up with maybe like a 3-minute video that took you a really long time to make.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really long time. And then because the view duration is like 3 minutes on the video, even if you watch everyone watches the whole video, the ad revenue from that is just not worth the time.
Yeah, I remember the adpocalypse, because that was like one of the one of the niches of YouTube, is that animators could make a living off of it if they uploaded their video. I mean, Egoraptor, OniNG, Psychic Pebbles, a lot of these Newground animators would make YouTube videos and were making some scrap off of it. But eventually, after the adpocalypse, they were like, "Yeah, we can't do this anymore," and they had to venture into other things. That's how we got Game Grumps, is because Egoraptor and JonTron, Egoraptor specifically, couldn't animate anymore. It wasn't paying the bills.
Yeah. Like I could spend a week, maybe 2 weeks, and I could make like a 3-minute animated video. Let's say it does quite well, right? And it gets 20,000 views. That's reasonable. That's pretty good for an animated RuneScape video.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get a very small handful of dollars for that. In comparison, I could make like, say, Yama drops as a boss, right? And I make a terrible guide. I make a really bad guide, and it gets 2,000 views. If that guide's 10 minutes long, I'll get more money from that guide than I would from the video. And that guide could take me like 20 minutes to make.
Yeah, it's all about the equity, right, for your work that you get out of. And unfortunately, like you said, animation just takes so long, and what you get out of it monetarily is not good, right? But like it can also still be like a passion project type thing, right? If you don't care about the money. But once you start spending,
that's how I've taken it.
Go ahead.
That's how I've taken it with personal animations. And whenever I do a personal animation for me, like that's not client work, I'm always like, this is a passion project. It's small. If I don't finish it, it's okay. If I share it and no one's interested in it, that's cool.
No, absolutely. And it does suck that, I'm trying to think of like who right now is popular in terms of animation on YouTube. Isn't there a big YouTuber called Jaden Animates or something, where she she doesn't do insane animations, but she's technically an animation channel. Or the funny guy, I think Pablo is his name.
Papa Meat.
Or Papa
Meat's
Meat
your big
Canyon.
one. He
Absolutely.
does awesome. I love Papa Meat Canyon. Yeah, he's so good. I love his stuff.
But even he had to start a side channel, and then he started a podcast with Wendigo. Or is it Wendigoon? I can't remember. Either or. But all these animators got to find these side hustles to pay the bills, man. And let's go back into, sorry to cut you off there, but let's go back into Blender as an animation tool. How long have you been using Blender?
Ooh. So like as I mentioned, I used Blender when I was making Oblivion mods, like the Elder Scrolls Oblivion mods back when I was a kid. I was using that a fair bit, but very amateurly. It was like, this is a sword. What is it? Well, it's like a cube with a point coming out of it. I'm like, yeah. But using Blender as a whole, and actually kind of intensely, probably since 2019.
Okay.
Was when I picked it back up and got really into it.
So,
yeah. But like it kind of becomes intuitive because I already had that kind of like, this is how you navigate a 3D space. 3D objects have textures on them. Like once you have that basic rudimentary knowledge, like it becomes really quick to learn. If you don't have that knowledge, it takes a bit of a grind to get into.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's with any software that you can do anything creatively, whether Blender, Premiere, Fruity Loops. Man, every time I feel like I could be a producer or a musician, I just boot up Fruity Loops and look at it. I stare at it for like 15 minutes and go, yeah, I don't know what any of this shit means. And then I close it.
I was actually looking at audio recording software as an alternative to Adobe because I usually use Adobe Audition. I'm trying to like step away from Adobe a bit. So I went through all of them and they have terrible interfaces. Every single one. I tried I tried Reaper first, and that program's just like, whoever designed that interface needs help. I tried FL Studio. Whoever designed that interface needs serious help. They are not well. Like they've got problems going on. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're a wonderful person. If you're listening by any reason, the person designed FL Studio, just take a step back and look at what you made. I tried. There was another few that I tried as audio software, but the best one that I found of a decent interface is a program called Studio One. It's by Presonus, and that was actually a good audio software. I didn't mind that one.
That's so funny you say that. I'm currently recording on a Presonus Studio 24C right now. That's my interface that I use.
Then you got your free copy of Studio One. Why are you opening FL Studio? Use Studio One. It's better.
I've not, dude. I opened it up when I first got it and was like, okay, I'll use this if I ever, if I ever remember it. And I didn't remember it, but until now. So now that you're giving me the recommendation, I'll have to check it out.
It's good. It's got a simple layout. It's got a section where your tracks are. Down the bottom is for your MIDI part if you want to do MIDI. It's also got audio sliders to move things up and down if you need your tracks to be different volumes and put effects on them. It's so easy.
How are the effects like?
That's your whole interface.
Are you able to plug in like presets from other people or kits that you download? Or are you able to do that?
Yeah, you can put VSTs into it. I was playing around with that a bit. I'm not too familiar with VSTs. I'm pretty when it comes to music recording and stuff like that, I plug my keyboard in via a jack and I do the stuff built into the keyboard.
Yeah, I totally get that, man. I just scream into a microphone to a beat I found on YouTube whenever I feel musically inclined. So I completely understand.
But yeah, it's got great effects. It's got everything that you could possibly need, and you can add others if you want. But it's got reverb, it's got distortion, it's got amp sims, it's got flanges. Everything that you could possibly want for music production. If you want more, you can add more. All I look for in audio software is, does it have mainly the essentials? Does it have an EQ? Does it have a compressor? And from there, you're pretty good.
Yeah, it's funnily enough, what I like to do is I like to record in Audacity and get everything laid out in my layers. And then I take it into Premiere, and then I edit it further in Premiere. That's it. Funnily enough, any song that I've ever made, I've made a few songs. I've made like 3 songs at this point. And that's every time I've made it, that's what I've done. And it just works for me. It's not the best quality. Like, I'm not a fucking master producer or mixer or anything, but like for a guy in his basement with, like pretty, not subpar, but pretty, I would say standard, like standard equipment, standard computing power, like standard programs, it's not bad.
Yeah. Well, like the cool thing now, especially of like current era and current year, and this will probably swing back to like, YouTube and RuneScape YouTube and stuff like that, is the quality of stuff you can have at home is just incredible. Like, it's almost impossible to buy a bad mic in 2025. Like, a good microphone, you can buy super cheap microphones that are of acceptable quality, and 10 years ago would have just been the best microphone you could buy. Same thing with cameras. Like, you have an incredible 4K camera on your phone. If you want to get into making like videos or anything, you have a 4K camera on your phone. You don't have to buy a camera. Like, the camera on your phone's incredible.
Yeah, that's like the idea that, the longer technology is out, the more it's produced, therefore the cheaper it is, and the more they produce it, the better they make it, and then it gets just cheaper as time goes on. Dude, I went and got a monitor the other day because my old monitor had like some pixel death that just came out of nowhere. I had it for like 7 years, but looked it up,
Yeah.
and Acer monitors, do not buy Acer monitors. They have a fucking time bomb in them where, like, after a certain point, and it's random monitors, by the way, they'll just start getting pixel death, and you'll get problems with your monitor. So I go out and get a new one. I get a 33-inch curved monitor, 250 hertz. It's not 2K, it's not 4K. It's just standard 1080p because that's just what I like. I don't think I need anything more than that. 1080p is fine. And it was only like $170. Whereas like 6 years ago,
That's so good.
yeah, 6 years ago I paid like $269 for that Acer monitor, and it was only a 22-inch, not curved, 165 hertz, and it was almost double the price.
I feel like 1080p is the biggest slept on improvement to your life that exists. So like, I have a 1080p TV, I have 2 1080p monitors. So like, a new game comes out, like say the Oblivion remaster as an example, and everyone's like, oh, it has like performance issues. I'm like, not for me. I'm playing at 1080p and it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, even if I'm editing in like Premiere or working with video files, like we can work in 4K. If I've got someone that wants to work in 4K for a video, we can, but the preview's only 1080p. So like, performance wise, it's incredible. It's so much faster. It's 4 times as fast working in 1080p that it is in 4K. So like, if you're out there and you're trying to save money, get a 1080p monitor. Like it's fine. They're great.
Yeah, this may change in like 5 years, and like maybe 2K becomes like the standard on everything and becomes dirt cheap. But yeah, if you're not doing like, unless you're producing like movies and you have like a rig that's like beefed out like $3,000 plus, you don't need 4K. You don't need 4K gaming. I never understood with the obsession with it. When it doesn't look that different. It's literally like going from 120 hertz to 165 hertz. Is the difference there? Yeah, but it's very minute to the naked eye anyway, and it probably just makes you feel better at the end of the day.
Star Wars was not made on a 4K monitor. That was probably like a 320p monitor.
Probably, yeah. They were just back there splicing up the footage, and Spielberg was like, "I don't know, man. We gotta get this thing out, man. It's like Luke and the Death Star. Man, they're gonna blow it up. Yeah, I'm George Lucas. Yeah.
Yep.
He kissed his
They're
sister.
just gonna get it out, like." We'll retcon that later. We'll work it out.
Yeah, George
know that
Lucas.
joke?
I don't take George Lucas serious at all, man. I remember watching Star Wars as a kid and being like, this is awesome. And then I heard that motherfucker talk, and I was like, you made that shit? Nah, I don't fuck with it no more. And then Disney acquired it and really drove it into the ground. So, I mean,
Oh my God. I don't understand how a company can sit there and go, so what have we got here? Okay, we got the biggest franchise ever, Star Wars. All right, what's Star Wars? Well, it's space samurai with laser swords. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. We're going to make it awful.
Yep. That's exact. I
Like,
guarantee
how do you stuff that?
that's what they did.
Star Wars is easy to write. What happens? Well, these people are fighting. What are they fighting about? I don't know. The government. Okay, so they're fighting over the gun. What happens? Okay, so they're shooty bang bangs. They're shooting at each other, and out walks this guy. Oh yeah, who's this guy? He's a space samurai with a laser sword. What does he do? Wins. The end. Finish scene, and everyone will clap their hands.
Not even
That's
just
how easy it is to write stuff.
dude. Not even just space samurai. They're all space Jesus. The Force,
Yeah, and the space cowboys too. Yeah, space cowboys as well.
Yeah, and I can't believe. I don't know. I feel like lately this has been happening. Is that these big corporations buy an IP and then they just run it into the fucking ground. And I don't know how or why, but that's just business to them. Like that's gonna improve their quarterly for the year or for the next 5 years. I don't know. I don't know if they're doing like stock buybacks, like they just plummet their stock and then they gobble it all up for it to like slowly rise back up to what it was again. And then they just made like another extra $60 million. I don't know, but it's not good. Especially in the movie scene is I really feel like the movies have been just terrible in like the past decade.
Movies is a weird scenario. Like it's in a really weird thing at the moment. So movie budgets have absolutely skyrocketed and the traditional marketing for movies has also changed. You know, people are watching movies now on Netflix or in whatever streaming service you choose. And people like to be comfortable with what they're choosing and know they're getting a good time because they're at home. They're not going out with friends. They're chilling. So if you're a big company and you're sitting there and they're saying, okay, so I've got this idea for this brand new movie. It's a brand new thing. It's really cool. It's about cowboys. And the CEOs will nod their head and say, how much do you want for a budget? They say, I want $100 million. They go, okay. And then Ted's sitting next to you and he goes, I have a brand new idea for a movie. And they go, what is it? Superman. I'd like $100 million. And the CEOs all nod their head and go, well, Superman is more likely to make money than this other guy's film. So they make Superman again. Because Superman's easy advertising. You pop Superman on the front cover of like, you know, Netflix and everyone will be like, yeah, I'll watch Superman. That's cool. Have you seen the new Superman? And everyone can get behind it and talk about it. Whereas a random new film's really hard to get people into or know how well it's going to perform. It's a risky bet.
Yeah, it's always like that comfort food, right? That you just like you keep going back to. It's always gonna be there. But I feel like, especially when it comes to entertainment, there are like ebbs and flows within the culture that's like consuming it and creating it, right? And I feel like we're in like that swing where the more artsy or niche movie pops off and like becomes really popular and people are like, see, you can make other movies that are original IPs and it's not just a remaster or a remake or the same fucking movie. And then you Disney, Snow White, why did you do it? Why are the dwarves animated? We have those in real life, Disney.
Why
real.
Were the dwarves animated?
Why are the dwarves animated?
I feel so sorry for the CGI guy sitting there that's at the VFX desk, right? I can relate to this because I use Blender, right?
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and this guy comes up. He's like, all right, boss. So I got a job. He's like, all right, what do you want me to make? And he's a VFX guy, right? He knows the C visual side. He knows the digital side. He knows what's good practical. And they're like, so we want you to do some VFX. And he goes, okay. And it's like, we want you to add some dwarves to the scenes. And he's like, okay, but why don't you just use practical effects? Just use actual dwarves.
Do you not know who Peter Dinklage is? Have you not seen motherfucking Willy Wonka? They were doing this shit in the 90s. What are you talking about? Yeah, I would be pissed if I was the VFX guy.
Thought about using practical effects.
That's crazy, bro. Imagine you edit and create the entire like CGI mesh for the dwarfs for Disney and you don't kill yourself when it's done, that'd be crazy.
VFX studios is actually a really brutal like industry. I looked into it a bit because I was like, okay, like that could be an industry I could look into. Like I have the skills for that and I can jump to and from. But like the way it works is it's a bidding system. Mm-hmm. So for a VFX studio, you sign up with a movie studio, and that movie studio might have 10 VFX studios signed up for it. And that movie studio says, okay, we've got a movie, we need the VFX, this is the pitch, whoever gives us the lowest price wins. So what the VFX studios all do is they sit there and outbid each other by saying, well, I'll do it for $1,000, I'll do it for $500, I'll do it for $10. And then the Hollywood studio goes, okay, $10, you win. And then the studio goes, how are we going to make this for $10?
I just really feel like in any industry, like people are just underpaid right now, and the way that the systems are set up are so fucking dumb. Like that's so. Do they not like realize that when it's the same thing with construction too? Like when you have these bidding wars for who can do the lowest amount, you realize you're bidding for who can do the shoddiest work. That's what you're bidding on.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Like we are, at the end of the day, if what you're doing, like you get paid for it and you have passion for it, in the back of your mind, it doesn't matter that what you love, like what you're doing is that you love. In the back of your mind, you're like, fuck, I'm only getting paid $30 an hour for this. I'm editing Lord of the Rings right now. I'm getting paid $30 an hour to do this. This movie's going to make $300 million opening week. I'm getting paid $30 to make this because my boss wanted to outbid the other studio that was going to get paid $35 to do it an hour. What the fuck are we doing? It's crazy. That's how the system works.
It's nuts.
And
you're also out of it though. You start to see really cool innovations in VFX. Like Unreal Engine 5 is awesome. I use that a lot in my work now.
Interesting.
Just purely because it renders instantly, like in real time. It's a real-time renderer. So previously, because I always ask this question as I was using Blender, and as I was doing, as my work was kind of taking off and I was working at more and more channels and my jobs were becoming back to back, is I was sitting there going, how do I deal with render time? This is ridiculous. I go to sleep and I let my computer render overnight, and then if anything kind of went wrong, I have to render throughout this next day and I lose that whole day. And that's why I jumped into Unreal Engine, because I started to see like a lot of movie studios were shifting over to Unreal Engine and using that purely because of its real-time capabilities. And yeah, like that's an innovation that came out of the fact that it takes too long to render things off. Now a lot of movie studios are using Unreal.
Interesting. So so obviously when you like real-time rendering, that means whenever you're working on it, you can just export it and it's right there. Like, is that what that means?
Yeah, pretty much. So when I say real time, it's not exactly real time. If you optimize your scene really well and properly, it will be real time. If you're a bit lazy, then it won't quite be real time. It will be like, slightly slower. Slightly slower. But so previously how it worked is I'd finish up my animation. And say we have a scene that's 150 frames long. Each frame would take about 16 to 30 seconds to render off. Each frame. As you can imagine, that's a pretty long time. And at that time, my computer's unusable. It is pushing out heat and working 100% of the time.
Yep.
In Unreal Engine, I set it up. It looks visually identical. All right, there's some subtle differences that you'll see, which is part of how they optimize and get it to real time, but only if you're a crazy person will you notice it. I press render, and you watch it play, and boom, you've got your video file.
Wow. So from going
Yeah,
to
you just watch it goes done.
so from going from hours, you're literally going to right there in front of you. Done.
Yeah, I spent about 2 months just gushing about it, saying it's unreal. This is unreal. This is literally unreal. How does it do this?
And you think that came from low bidding wars, the innovation of the companies being like, fuck this, we need to speed this up and do it even cheaper. Create Unreal Engine 5.
I reckon that was almost like a byproduct. So obviously Epic has started, which is the company that produces Unreal Engine 5. They've obviously looked at changes in the market and said, wow, we can also appeal to game developers, but we can also appeal to people that make films. Because at the moment, there's a really big hole in 3D animation software. You have Blender, which is a free software, which is taking over. Like a lot of studios are shifting over to Blender because it's so efficient and it's open source. You want to make a tool, you make a tool. There's Maya and Cinema 4D, which are the industry titans, right? They're the go-to, which are now about equivalent feature set wise to Blender. The only difference is third-party things. So, for example, a company will produce a tool for Maya and sell it that's closed off. No one else can access how it works. That will show it will simulate muscles, as an example.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. The problem with Maya and Cinema 4D is it costs thousands of dollars. Literally thousands. It is so expensive. So people are looking for places to go in that 3D software, and Unreal just filled the gap, filled the void.
Interesting. So do you so I'm guessing you make stuff in Blender and then you import it into Unreal, or do you just create everything in Unreal now?
Correct. So the only limitation of Unreal is it has no modeling functionality. It has some basic stuff, but it's experimental. But you can't model in Unreal. So I prepare everything in Blender that I need. I do any custom models that I need. I optimize all my textures using Blender and all other little fancy stuff you can do to make things look nice. And then I shift it over to Unreal and then work from in there.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's interesting then. At least, so Unreal is just like a tool now that just makes your life as an animator just a lot easier.
So much easier. It took me so long to learn. I think if anyone's sitting there going like, "Oh, I should get into Unreal," like, be prepared. It's a weird program.
Yeah, I imagine it is. So, do you animate things in Unreal, or do you animate them in Blender still? I
use both.
Both. Okay.
Both. So I jump between depending on what the animation that I need to create is. So, for example, I was working on a Theater of Blood piece recently.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to animate Zarfus, and Zarfus has this animation where he flaps his wings and does all kinds of fancy stuff. And I chose to do that one in Blender and actually do the animation for the model in Blender because its tools were a bit easier for a simple flap animation. It has some auto IK stuff, which pretty much means the best way to describe IK, and what I mean by that is when you move one bone, it influences the rest. So if you have your hand and you move your hand towards your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
It will move your elbow down.
Okay.
But Unreal doesn't have that. So if I go to move the hand, well, it doesn't have that unless you set it up in a really complicated, time-consuming way. So if I move the hand in Unreal, it'll just like the whole hand will just shift up and disconnect from the body.
Okay.
So for flapping wings, that's easier to do in Blender than it was in Unreal, unless I set up a rig and all kinds of fancier stuff.
No, I can only imagine what you can do and the customization with both programs. What would you say to anybody who's thought about getting into Blender or getting into any type of 3D animation? What's some standard advice that you would give starting out?
standard advice for starting out. If you said you wanted to get into Blender tomorrow, where should I start?
Yeah, and don't give that. Well, just practice makes it. Don't give any of that like anagram like bullshit. You know?
No, I would never give an answer like that. I used to be a high school teacher, and I used to hate that idea. Like, just practice. You'll make something. Just practice. Like, no, that doesn't work. My suggestion would be is think of something very simple that you want to make. Just visualize it and go, that's a really simple thing, and then make it. And as you make it, ask questions. And that's how every roadblock you find, you'll ask a question. And then you'll find a solution. Because Blender can do anything. And it's the biggest pitfall and the biggest trap anyone falls into of the software is they think it's like isolated to one thing. Blender has a built-in video editor. Blender has a 2D animation suite. It has a texturing suite. It has a 3D modeling suite. It has a animation suite. It has everything. Blender can be used for motion graphics. It can be used for VFX baking. It can be used for anything that you can imagine visually can be done in Blender. So because the program can do anything, think about what you want to make, keep it simple, and answer questions about that. So for example, you might sit down and go, I want to make a ball that bounces. Cool. That's a really nice and simple thing. So you can set up a little plane as a ground. You can Google, how do I build ground in Blender? Okay, how to add a ball in Blender. Then you'll find out how to add a ball. All right, do you want to hand animate the ball bouncing or do you want to use a physics sim? That's 2 areas you can go down. And then you'll just solve problems and go. And that's how I, built up my knowledge of Blender. Because as I mentioned at the very, very start, like I wanted to make Berserk 2016, but better.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I said, okay, well, I definitely can't do that now. But I did just see the Swampletics finale, and I reckon I could make a RuneScape character walk.
Right.
Started with that.
Okay. Now,
started with that.
And just for anyone out there that does want to start and they're listening to you, you don't have to like be an artist off the bat, right? There's a lot of assets that you can download and like plug into Blender, right? Like download a 3D model. Like say like you just said, I want to animate a RuneScape character walking. Can you download like a 3D asset of a RuneScape character into Blender and just set up like an exoskeleton to animate it?
100%. And that's why I went down that road when I was like learning, because in my mind I was going, I don't want to learn how to 3D model. I want to relearn my animation skills that I lost when I was like 15. So I want to go back and just do a basic walk cycle and go through things like that. The only advice that I would really give if you want to get into making animations, and this is my one bit of advice that says practice, is probably avoid downloading animations and try learning animation yourself by hand. If you're downloading animations that are made by someone else, whether it's on a website like Mixamo or something like that, they can often be a bit soulless because they're designed to be used for any purpose. And it generally looks better when you have your own flair. Not to say that there's not a place for those, but sometimes it can be better to learn how to animate some things yourself.
No, of course. No, absolutely.
In my initial tutorial that I made, it was like my YouTube video I put up, I'm like, you can grab an animation from Mixamo. It makes life easier. And I kind of regret putting that in there because, yeah, it has a lot of good stock animations, but it can look a bit soulless.
Well, okay, well this is what I want to ask you. Does it look soulless to you because you know the back end of what it is? If you can look at something and you go, well, that's a stock animation. Is that why do you think that's soulless?
No. It looks soulless, I think, in general, because it looks soulless, right? Mm-hmm. So the animations are designed, like say if you get them from Mixamo, they are preset animations, and the whole point of it is you can kind of download them, customize them, speed up your workflow. Animating walk cycles is really hard. Like walking is just a horrible thing to animate. It can be done so many different ways and so many things. So the idea is, here's a template from you to work off and modify. If you need a character in the background, right, that's walking, we don't need that to look amazing, and we don't want to spend 200 hours animating that character in the background that walks past. So,
Yeah.
boom, chuck the animation on the model, save time. But good animation will follow like the principles of animation. It will have squash and stretch. It will have a bit of timing played around with it, and a whole heap of various other things. So it will have a lot more style, a lot more character acting, and everyone animates things slightly different.
Yeah. Well,
So you'll add your own little flourishes.
yeah, and it's also height, weight, characteristics of the character. You know, are they a good guy or are they a bad guy? You know, are they sneaking around or are they out in the open? Right? There's a million
Yeah.
different scenarios that you could do in terms of like the story you're creating.
Yeah. Like I've always like even like if you see my work, you can tell when there's something that I've animated a bit because I generally have, and this carries over from when I did stick figure animations, like floppy limbs. The
Yeah.
head will always flop a bit and the arms always, I don't know why. I just find it really cool to look at when someone like stands up and then the head comes up a bit later. It's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just on everyone.
No, there's still some remnants from like my early days of like editing that like have lasted to now. Like just the unsavory crash zooms of people's faces and the zoom ins, like that will never go away with my editing. Like especially in terms of like interview style editing. Will always be.
I love how every editors have their own style and you can see it. There's another guy in the Runescape community, John. Have you ever heard of John?
Yeah, I've heard of John.
Yeah, John's awesome. He's so good. He's so talented. But I can always spot his stuff. He does the class. I call it the classic John bloom. He just has that little bit of bloom that comes off everything. And every single time I see him, like, it's John. That's him.
Well, I also feel like
It's like his signature.
That just happens like in terms of like when you do something long enough, like you have these check marks that you go off, right? That like that are your standards, right, to each individual. And like that gives you like a telltale sign of like who made something. Like obviously Asterix is the main editor for the Behemoth channel, but sometimes I step in and I edit for the day if Asterix needs to do something else. And I've tried, I almost have his formula down, but like even though I've seen probably hundreds of his edited Behemoth videos, and like I'm an editor myself, I still can't quite exactly copy his flair, right? His style. It's almost like it's just imprinted into the work.
I don't know how he does daily video. He does such a good job. I filled in once as well myself for Behemoth. He was away once. So I did the edit for one episode.
Yeah. How'd that
I
go?
shook my hand. It's like, yeah, I'll give it a go. Bit of a different job. Quick, short daily video. That'll be fun.
How long?
He is so efficient.
How long did it take you your first time doing it?
I think it took me 3 hours.
Yeah.
Roundabout. Yeah, 3 hours it took me. And it came out pretty good, but yeah, it was just he must be so efficient. He has his processes locked in, and that's so good to see.
No, he's given me a peek into the cage before. We've had many conversations about like things that we both do, and he has it locked down. I think he told me he's gotten to the point where he sometimes speed runs a Behemoth video just to see how fast he can pump out a video. And I think he says his quickest is somewhere within the hour. It's either a little bit above or a little bit below just an hour to create a daily Behemoth video. And that's insane. It really is.
And it's such a different world to what I'm used to. Like when I'm doing editing jobs, I don't take on like full videos because I don't get as much joy out of them. When I take on an editing job, it is someone approached me like, I want this very niche edit that's just, it's really difficult to do and I just can't do it. Could you get this niche part done for me? So I'm always doing something completely different every single time. But so it doesn't, that skills doesn't really work for that kind of video. So it's really interesting.
No, absolutely. I want to segue here real quick and back into thumbnails. How many different channels are you like doing thumbnails for right now? You don't have to give me an exact number, just a rough estimate. of how many different channels that you do thumbnails for?
I'm thinking. Sorry.
I
I
know it's a
could
lot.
not tell you.
It's a lot, isn't
I
it?
could not tell you. Yeah, I honestly could not tell you how many. I do 2 to 5 thumbnails a day.
Jesus Christ.
Every single day, 7 days a week.
That's insane.
If I go to my folder that is titled commissions, which is there for the lifetime that I've been doing things. So people have come and gone. Some people have gone into YouTube, disappeared from YouTube, tried different things. The last time I checked, there was 200 folders for individual people.
Okay.
So
yeah. So that's 200.
That's 200 people I've worked with.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
It's a few.
You're charging USD now too, right? You're charging USD?
Yeah.
Good man.
For anyone that wants to get in for doing work online, charging USD, especially if you live in Australia, because you never know what the dollar's going to do, and everyone knows what a US dollar is. So I learned this very early on. I was like talking with someone, they were in Europe, and I'm like, that'll be 10 Australian dollars or 15 Australian dollars or whatever it was at the time. I grossly undercharged when I first started. And they were like, what's an Australian dollar? How much is that in euro? I'm like, fair enough. I wouldn't expect you to know that. But usually if you say US dollars, everyone knows exactly what that is in comparison to their currency.
Yeah, it must be nice because it's fucking struggling over here right now. I'm glad everyone else likes the US dollar. I'm not liking it too much right now. It's not fun.
It was going really good the other day. It was also, as well as the economy fluctuates, you get sometimes an increase.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first started, it was at like $1.40 I was getting, and now I get $1.50.
That was real nice, man. I'm real envious. I wish my money went double over here. You know, my fucking birth country, motherfuckers. That shit always made, dude, because fucking Jesus talks about it too, and Cold Ones talks about it as well. Are you a fan of Cold Ones? You like Max and Chad?
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
And there's some of my favorite little Aussies. We don't talk about the Misfits no more though. Can't talk about them. Okay, and
yeah,
another thing that I wanted to bring back that we talked about early on was you talked about camera work and being a photographer, and that's one thing I really wanted to give you praise on, is in terms of like all of your animations that I've seen you use for content creators, and I'm going to use Prison Joe's Leviathan finale.
that was so good. I love that shot so much.
Yeah, when you animated that and he sent it to me, I was like, holy fucking shit. This is like, no joke, this is Hollywood level style of camera work. Like, forget the animation. Like, the animation's fantastic. Just the fact that you have this floating around in your fucking brain in terms of like, okay, this is what's going to happen. The camera's going to move here, and then the camera's going to be here, and then this is going to happen. Just the fact that you have that just oogling around in your noggin, you need to be working for Hollywood. I don't know why you're doing RuneScape animations. You could be making millions of dollars working for like some type of movie agency. Seriously, bro. They should hire you to do camera work for like professional movies. You would make a lot of money doing it, and I think you'd be fucking great at it.
Well, that one was a really challenging shot, that Leviathan shot. So to describe it for people that haven't seen it, for you lovely people listening, so he chucks the orb into the water. The water turns green because, you know, Leviathan has this little green angling thing. It comes out and the whole camera pans up to show Leviathan, kind of like as a big looking up towards its shot. And then it comes back down to show the character, and then they dodge attacks from Leviathan as it happens, as the camera pans around the character. And then I think it zooms into Leviathan's eye as it lights up to cause the transition into the next shot. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but that's about what happens. And that took quite a fair bit of planning to do. Like, it was a really fun shot to work on because I wanted it to be seamless as one shot. I didn't want lots of cuts. I don't like cuts in general. You can see my animations. I don't have a lot of cuts, or I try to make it super seamless.
Yeah.
So it all looks like it's one shot.
Yeah, one shot style. Absolutely.
But I also wanted Leviathan to seem big and scary because it's such a cool boss. It's big, it's scary, it's super hard. And to do that, I need to make sure that I gave it plenty of length as the camera came up. And I planned that camera movement out so carefully the whole time. Like, this is where it needs to go. Now it needs to be here. And also focusing super hard on the character animation. Because the person at Jagex that did the animation for Leviathan in general, super talented. And I wanted to do that justice as I was doing it by hand. I didn't want it to be like a shoddy knockoff version.
Yeah, and it's just so funny because me and Seth do this running gag about every time like we do something together. It's like, hey, man, what have I told you like so many years ago that we'd be doing this right now, that we'd be doing RuneScape videos, or and it just blows me away, like the type of community RuneScape has, to where we produce some of the best content. And I know that's a little biased. I'm a part of the community, but just as someone who's been in the RuneScape community in terms of playing the game or watching content about the game since I was in high school, we've always gone the extra mile. And every content creator that has stepped up to the plate and become a quote unquote giant of the industry, whether streamer or a YouTube content creator, it's just always been new and innovative and always just loads of fun.
RuneScape is one of the like really unique niches in YouTube. Like, you can be a human being on this planet that only watches RuneScape videos, and there's not another lot of games that you can say that about. You know, we have something that you can watch overnight that's a series that's storytelling. We have informational videos. We have fun fact videos. We have update videos. Like, there's a whole genre of RuneScape videos that exists that you can enjoy at all times of day. Not a lot of games have that on the platform. Like, if you play World of Warcraft, there's not really that many series that exist for World of Warcraft. If you like The Sims, there's a lot of Sims videos that are really good, like fun challenge runs that take on like the similar kind of stuff as RuneScape does, but they're self-contained stories. They're like one video and you watch that and then it's done. RuneScape has this really unique kind of sitting in YouTube where you can watch that only and enjoy it.
Yeah, we're a bunch of strange fuckers, aren't we?
Yeah. It's also a really interesting niche as well, because like videos come out slowly. It takes a really long time to make a RuneScape video in comparison to, say, another game. No, you've got the hours that go into, say, getting the levels or something like that, or getting the drop you need. So because of that, the process for making a RuneScape video is just massive.
Yeah,
I think it's the hardest thing on content creators. Like, you know, I've only got one video this month. It's like, well, okay, why?
It's like, well, because it
takes a really long time.
It took me 300 hours to get these 2 levels, and it's like, excuse me,
and it's hard.
It
makes it really hard for creators.
It's super hard. It's daunting. It's absolutely daunting. The fact that we have someone like Settled making the content that he makes, and I understand that there are plenty of other content creators that maybe put in the same amount of hours, if not more. Settled is just the most popular choice to use here. But say, I'm trying to think of a YouTuber. Let's say you make Skyrim videos and like you do Skyrim challenges, and it's like, okay, this Skyrim challenge is going to take me 200 hours, and if I'm lucky, I could get like a 45-minute to an hour and a half long video of it, right? Whereas a RuneScape challenge series or a chunk lock account or a snowflake account, you could put in hundreds and hundreds of hours more and still not even get what you need, not even be done yet, not even be close to being done. It's really crazy that like it's possible that there are people out there that can do this, that can grind thousands and thousands of hours and then sift through that footage enough to slivers, percentages of the footage that they've recorded, and give you a glimpse into their world or into the story that they're enveloping you in. It's wild.
It's a difficult thing to get into with YouTube. Like if you were to approach me as like a thumbnail person and a bit of like a advisor for a channel, and you said, I want to start a channel, how often should I release videos? I'd say you probably want to be releasing a video once every 3 days.
Yeah.
And that's playing the YouTube game. And if you're doing that, you're going to be constantly in the algorithm and you're playing the YouTube game. We can talk about quality, we can talk about presentation and topics, but as a basis, if you want a channel to be successful, that's probably what you should be looking at every 3 days, maybe once a week if you want to stretch it out a bit more. But every 3 days, you'll be constantly in your viewers' minds. And if you're making good, exciting content, people will watch it. You can't do that with RuneScape videos, not really. Not in the same vein. And it's really hard on people. And also, like, sometimes I do video reviews with people and stuff like that. And one of the biggest discussions that probably comes up when we're like talking through someone's review and a thing is they'll have like, okay, so I'm now going to grind herb lore. I need to get 37 herb lore or 40 herb lore or 80 herb lore or whatever. And you go, okay, so you're getting a herb lore level. That's an interesting segment. The segment will go on for 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And it will have them doing commentary as they go through herb lore. And, those clips aren't value for the video. They should say, I'm going to be here for quite a while. I'm going to need to get 80 herb lore. Boom, long grind. I got 80 herb lore. Now on to the next part. You've got 20 hours or so, or however many, 100 hours going from, 0 to 80 herb lore. That is got to be cut down to like a 1 second clip.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one wants to watch you standing at a bank going, there we go.
No,
These potions are getting hard to make.
Yeah, dude, it sucked. Because when I first started editing for PJ, we were just doing Top Tuesday. We weren't doing traditional RuneScape videos, so I would get an hour of raw footage, and then I would just cut down that hour into what I thought was acceptable. We'd do a review, and then I would edit through it again, and we would do a final review, right? And as we kept doing Top Tuesdays, he got RuneScape video ideas, and since I'm his main editor, he would ship them to me. And the first time me doing like a traditional RuneScape video, I wanted to die. Dude, I've seen countless hours of RuneScape videos, but when I went to go edit it for myself, I hated it. The sifting through the footage, the monotonous recordings that I would have to go through of like Seth running around Volamore and he doesn't know where the fuck he's at and he's not reading what he's not reading. So I'm sifting through hours of footage trying to figure out how I'm going to make this video good, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it.
So I've hired an editor a few times for myself. And I always think about like, how can I make their life as easy as possible? So this is a great tip for anyone that wants to hire an editor, right? How can you make their life as easy as possible? I get the whole video together. I lay it out in a Premiere Pro project in chronological order, cut out anything that I know is completely useless, and then also have in that Premiere project assets folder, chuck every asset they could possibly need in there, whether it's pictures, graphs, diagrams, big screenshots of websites, whatever they could possibly need.
That's huge.
And then send that over.
That's huge.
And all I can think, because after doing editing jobs, is that is the nicest thing. And they get the Premiere Pro project, they open it up, they see, 10 nested sequences, which is each section of the video. They open up the nested sequences. It's all cut up. Some sections have, maybe a little bit of black space, and I would have had assets labeled for each section. So I just have to put it in, do transitions, maybe recut things up. Like they might have a moment, and it just made it easier. And I was super busy, and I just needed a video edited, and yeah. That is my number one tip if you want to hire an editor.
Yeah.
Be organized and prepared. It will make someone's life so much easier.
That's huge, because that's one thing I've yet to really experience. Don't get me wrong, my time with working with Seth has gotten easier, and he's definitely gotten better as we've gone along. We've been doing this for a while now. Anytime I do have to put together like long form content that's not Top Tuesday, he's done an excellent job as of recently getting me like footage that's only usable footage, that whatever he sends to me is what we'll use, and that is heaps better than searching through hours and hours of recorded footage and trying to find the good bits, right? But getting your assets like looked up for you and downloaded and put in a presentable file, that's huge, because that's the other half of the video editing, is just doing your research, looking for PNGs, looking for logos or relatable clips for whatever you're gonna need, or is finding something, being like, I can't really use this, I need to Photoshop this, and now you're having to edit a photo for like, sometimes for like 3 seconds. Like it'll take you 15 minutes for a 3 second gimmick.
I sometimes get asked the question like, oh, like I want to get into like video editing for people, like how much should I charge? And I say, charge by the hour, firstly. And someone says, oh, I want to hire a video editor, and say, well, they'll charge you by the hour. Because if you charge by the hour, it gives this idea that you should be organized. And it also kind of defines a bit as well, like you're the editor. So are you editing clips together, or is your job to also make like some various graphics as well? As you're saying, in Photoshop, that's only going to be seen for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So, working by the hour is usually the way to go for editing, because it kind of helps everyone be super efficient for time.
Yeah, but if you're doing friend prices, that editing by the hour ain't gonna cut it. You're gonna have to do per project, buddy. Some people got to eat out here.
What was that one?
I'm just saying
it broke up for like the slightest second.
Oh, it did. I was saying that like if you're doing friend prices though, you'll probably just charge them by the project.
Oh yeah, as well. Like, also give someone an idea of how much the project's going to cost. That is really the major thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, of course.
Yeah.
One more thing. Do you have any big plans regards of like your own content that are coming out soon, or anything you want to plug in right now?
Oh, at the moment, I'm focusing really hard on other people's content, and I've got my own content kind of sitting in the back. I want to find the right kind of place to go with things. I did start making a RuneScape video, like a traditional RuneScape video, because I thought that would be fun, but I actually gave up on the grinding. It broke me. I said, this is way too much longer, way too much time. But if I was going to plug myself, I'd say check out what I do on Twitter. I try to post just about every animation I do on Twitter, and majority of the thumbnails I work on Twitter. It's a cool place to see everything I make. And I've always working on something different.
Well, Mr. SaintTits,
I do have an upcoming project that's interesting coming out soon. It's on crossbow. It's on gunpowder and the history of gunpowder for a channel called Tech Tree. That's something different and unique. That's cool.
Tech Tree. I've heard of them, I believe. It sounds familiar.
It is a second channel for Tierzu. He has... So we've got one that's on Crusaders and the crossbow, and then we've got an upcoming video that should be coming out.
Wow, you're doing work for Tierzu?
Yeah, we've done a couple of things together.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. I know he likes RuneScape though. Unless that's you putting those edits in, because I know he adds a ton of like RuneScape edits.
No, so I don't do stuff on his main channel. We've done a couple of like different spin-off things. So we did a Nebula original series called Duelist Mansion, which was a Yu-Gi-Oh series, and we both really like Yu-Gi-Oh. I love Yu-Gi-Oh so much. So my job with that was they'd say like, I play the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and we'd have a hologram come up of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. So I did the VFX side of that.
That's fucking sick.
It is sick. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
I loved it.
That's fucking awesome, dude. I didn't know that about you, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we did that. We did a little piece, as I said, on crossbows, like a history documentary where it's like, it's September 1218 AD. And I've got like this little historical animation that I made. Like, as like we kind of want to make it look like a game, even though it's like, the historical setting, but like a bit of a cool game. So that was fun. Kind of fitting with these references and stuff. And, we'd have these cool things where I'd be like, the crossbow did significantly more damage than the longbow at close range. So we'd have like damage numbers come up as things happened. And that was cool.
That's awesome, man.
And yeah.
When did you say that was coming out? It's coming out soon?
I don't know exactly when, but Tech Tree's the channel. It's a cool little channel. It's fun.
Everyone go subscribe to Tech Tree right now. Support our boy here. And Skulled, with that being said, we're at the hour mark. I think it's time we wrap this up. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm definitely going to have you come back on again in a couple of months and check out what you're doing and ask you a little bit more questions. With that being said, is there anything else you want to say?
No. Make cool things. Always make cool things. If you want to get into making things, make cool things.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still listening, you're listening on the Patreon first. So subscribe to the Patreon. You can do a 1-week free trial. You can see all the bass tapes we made, all the exclusive Based After Dark Patreon cast of stories that have not been told on the YouTube. And I just want to say thank you so much for the support and thank you for listening.